Hello. To get it right out of the way, this is part 1 of my rebinding book adventure. I bought thrifted books to practice on, and in this video I'll be rebinding The School for Good and Evil, all 6 books. I was able to get 1 through 4 thrifted, and then I had to buy 5 and 6 new. But come back for part 2 where I'll actually be rebinding a series I hold near and dear to my heart, The Hunger Games. And so I don't know when part 2 will be out, but I'll try to get it out soon after this one. Hey, so editing Akitsu here. I decided not to rebind the Hunger Games series because I couldn't bring myself to tear off the covers just to do an objectively worse job. So part 2 will not be coming regarding the Hunger Games. However, there will be a part 2 following this video because this was a huge project and I couldn't fit it all in this one video. So at some point I might make new dust jackets for the Hunger Games series, but I don't think I will go in and rebind it at this time. I did come up with some cool concept sketches, so that's what inspired me to do dust jackets instead. Back to the video. But as I mentioned, I bought TSF GAE thrifted. I don't know if there's an acronym, but I'm not saying the whole thing every time, but honestly the acronym might be harder. I got it from Goodwill for $10 and it retails for $35. With shipping, I paid $24.50 total and saved about $11. And all of those prices are in US dollars. And I bought the book on the 16th of April, and it arrived on the 24th, so pretty fast shipping time as well. After I had the books in hand, I had to come up with designs for the series, as you can see. But since this was my practice series, I didn't put a lot of time and effort into the design itself. These are the only 2 pages I dedicated to it, and for reference, The Hunger Games has like 5 or 6 pages dedicated to it. So I guess I'll just get some more general information out of the way before I start going into like detail as to what I was thinking. But a lot of people in my research recommended Hollanders for bookbinding and rebinding supplies, so I bought my book fabric from there. It's about $8.25 for 17.5 by 25 inch long fabric bolts. And for this project specifically, I bought the fig color in the Verona book cloth. I had placed a purchase previously for some supplies since I wanted to get their swatch books, which will look like this. Just all their different colors and just like swatches, and then they're numbered on the back so you can match it up with the color name. So fig, for reference, is this color right here. I'll try and not get the shadow in it, but so that's the color I chose, and I'm gonna make the whole series the same color for this practice one. But if you want to know, that's number 27 of the book fabric book. And I placed the order with other fabric for upcoming videos, so it wasn't super cheap, but I paid about $11 in shipping and taxes. And I didn't have any materials for bookbinding or rebinding, so I basically had to buy everything new. I'll put a list on screen of everything I bought and their prices. Keep in mind, this list also includes things I bought for other videos, aka the fabric, and it does not include the books. I'll include that in a separate photo, and I'll put that on the screen right now. I'll also put a link in the description for the material list I referenced. It was from Spellbound with Sydney. I'll also put a link to her YouTube channel. So that was all my supplies, and I'll show you everything in detail as like we go on, since that makes sense, because it's a lot and I don't know if I can I don't know if I have the desk space to show everything, so we'll see how this goes. But for starters, let's get the concepts out of the way. Now, this was the last concept art I did, so I'll be honest, I didn't have the most ideas, motivation, whatever word you want to choose, for the design aspect of this. So I have dates on here from when I was doing stuff, but this was kind of the general design I came up with. Since the 6 books are broken into like 2 trilogies, I wanted to kind of keep the same and like add a little, title. So that's what it says right here. The School for Good and Evil, and then all of them have like other titles. Like the 5th book is A Crystal of Time, so that's where that go. And then the circle, I wanted to do the swans, the black swan and the white swan, since I like the imagery and symbolism of that. So I put a little yin-yang swans, and I know they don't look like swans, I can't draw swans, so we'll see how this goes when I actually have to make this. But then I played around with like some colors, like what color fabric did I want to use versus which color. In my head I said foil, but I don't have a fancy machine to cut foil, so we'll cross that bridge when I get there. And so I was just trying to find color scheme, because obviously I need to figure out what book I'd want and which book color I'd want for the future if I ever do get a fancy machine. So here's some thoughts I had for the colors, and I wrote down the numbers. So why don't I just show you what I was thinking. So I did really like pink. I think pink would have looked really nice, but I wasn't in love with this specific pink, and I didn't have any other pink options really. I believe, yes, this light blue was another option. And this light purple was also an option. And then just straight up black with like the foil being the pop of color. I didn't go with any of those choices though, because as you saw, I went with the color fig, aka number 27. And so I tried to come up with some more symbolism, black versus white with the swans, black versus pink, which I heard from the summary, good is pink, bad is, or evil is black. The usual. Disclaimer, speaking of, I haven't read these books. I tried to get a book series that I could get multiple books for a relatively cheap price, so that I could practice multiple times before moving on to Hunger Games and, potentially ruining the very expensive books. But I have not read this series, and I don't really have any intention to do so. I did try to find like Twilight thrifted, because at least that was like a series I'm not committed to reading, but like I have a higher chance of reading Twilight than I do this series, which is for ages 8 to 12. Spoiler alert, I'm not 8 to 12 years old, so I don't really know what I'm gonna do with these. I thought about maybe like reselling them, since I bought them. It's not like copyright infringement, because I'm just reselling them. But at the same time, it's like, it's gonna be my first attempt at book rebinding, so like, do I really need to keep it for sentimental values? But at the same time, someone else could get so much more use out of it and have their own custom edition of like maybe a series they really enjoy, versus me who has no intention of reading it really. But I don't know. Let me know in the comments what I should do, and I'll figure it out. I will figure it out. Because, yeah, I'm not really sure what to do. But anyway, moving on. Tried to do a repeat of this design, trying to flesh it out, because when I came back to look at these yesterday, this was all I had done. So I was like, that doesn't give me a lot of stuff to work with. So I tried to do another like title thing and immediately messed it up with the asymmetry, so I just stopped. So then I moved down to these ones, and I like the idea of a tiara, and one like the top being good and the bottom being like a more evil one. And then I was talking about like framing with the titles, because I wasn't sure what I really wanted to do with that. So then I tried putting everything together. Instead of having this connected, I tried separating them, so the good one was at the top and the evil one was at the bottom. I might actually use this for like the back cover, just like a simple thing in the back.
So I didn't really flesh out the idea much. I have a feeling that when I actually go to design it, it will be a bit of a struggle, realistically. But then I moved on to typography for the title and everything. I've started a graphic design course and I haven't even gotten to typography, but it reminded me that typography existed. So I started messing around with stuff. And of course I hand wrote it, so it's not perfect, but it's fun playing around with. So I wanted to do something contrasty. So that's what I did here, kind of. I just wrote out the words and then I was going to add it to them, and then I felt it easier to just start over every time I wanted to try. I played with shapes: good, round, soft, harsh, jagged, evil. Then I moved on from that because I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I went with the little words, like the and for. I spelled school wrong. And I ended up doing school in the same font I did for the and I just did it bigger. So this is kind of what I came up with afterward. I did the school for, and then I had to come up with more fonts. And so I just did this one right on it. I didn't like move around the page, I just did that. So like this is one font, this is a font, this is a font. And then I moved down here and redid them to kind of like work on spacing, since I did the school for and then just filled in the gap with good and evil, and probably shouldn't have done that if I wanted better spacing. But that's what I did, and then I took this one and got this different font. It was slightly different. Then I like kind of combined them because I wasn't sure if I wanted the G in good to be lowercase when everything else was basically uppercase. But I decided I did like it better than these. And so I think these are the font names. I'm not really sure. I flipped these two around. So this one's the Magic Retro and this one's the Secra? I don't know. Never heard that font before. But I don't know if they're real fonts or if they're just like fake ones isn't the right word, but they were on Pinterest, and that's what that was their title. And so I just copied the alphabet from Pinterest, and that's what I did. And so this is the title I came up with, and I'm pretty happy with it looking at it the next day. So that's what I will go with. And then I do want to stick with kind of like the whimsy, the border, I do like the circle, like the idea of a circle for the swans, but I haven't committed to anything yet. So we'll see what I end up doing. But that's like one of the last steps. Hello, cat. Hi. But that's one of the last steps I'll be doing. So I guess we begin? Question mark?
So it took me over 20 minutes to pick end papers for all 6 books, so I have saved your sanity and cut it out. I will only be showcasing when I actually made the decision. If by any chance you're curious, that's Friday's bonus video, 4 p.m. as usual. Enjoy the absolute descent into madness that I experienced trying to pick paper.
Myself the agony and just use the plain paper. Until I change my mind in 20 seconds. A quick recap, I guess. So for this first book, we're gonna do this purple. The second book, we will do that. The third book, we will do that. Fourth book, we will do this. Fifth book, when the camera stops shaking, thank you, will be this one, which actually matches pretty good, but of the covers, this is my least favorite, so. And last but not least, book number 6, this one.
So here's the mutilation stage of book rebinding. Tearing off the covers. I know, a terrible thing to behold. I left this first book in real time so you could see how long it took me, but the following books I sped up the footage for. This first book took me the longest, about a minute, probably because I had never done it before. To murder all 6 books, it took me about 5 minutes, so not too bad. And as you can see, I got faster. Also, as you can see, my cat is in his little bed being super helpful and totally not in the way at all, because he would never do that. But I found the easiest way for me to rip off the covers was to start at either the top or the bottom and then tear away from me. Maybe that's just how you have to do it, but that's what works for me. And then all but the second book came off in one piece for me. And kind of like speaking of the old covers, I still have them, and I'm not really sure what to do with them. I've seen some people take the spine and use it as like a bookmark, and then I've seen people like cut up the cover and turn that also into a bookmark. But I thought I'd ask you guys what you think I should do with them. I don't mind making bookmarks out of them, but I was trying to find a way to keep the cover art. Maybe I'll just stick it inside the book. Who knows? This is the end paper preparation stage of the bookbinding process. I'm going through all of the end papers I painstakingly picked out and cutting them to be the correct size and shape for my books. It is really important for this step that there is no overhang over the sides of the book, because that will show on the cover, or if you really mess up, it'll show past the cover. From this point on in the process, I'm following a tutorial by That's My Bookshelf here on YouTube. I will link their video in the description box because it was super helpful and it was honestly the only tutorial I followed. I will say that this is the step that took the longest so far, at around 40 minutes from start to finish, and that doesn't include the last book because my phone ran out of storage before it could film that part. Womp womp. As I did with the last segment, I'm keeping this first book in real time so you can see the whole process of what I'm doing, and then I sped up the rest of the books because it was doing the same thing over and again. For measurements, since all the books were the same size, as they should be for a series, I only had to measure the width and height once, and that remains true for the rest of the measurement steps except for the spines because they all kind of vary in thickness. So first I folded my paper in half, and I don't have a bone folder, so I just used the side of my nail to get a crisp edge. Then I traced my book to have the right width and height, used a ruler to make straight lines, and attempted to use a rotary blade to cut through the paper, but I was having such a rough time using it that I went back and forth between it, my X-Acto knife, and my scissors. In a moment you'll be able to see me throw my hands up at the footage because it wasn't cutting the paper, and this is usually used for fabric, so I don't really know what was going on there. The biggest takeaway from this whole project was the need to practice making straight lines. If you look closely at the books, you can see the mistakes, and it caused me problems throughout the process. The step and the cutting of the chipboard need to be taken so seriously and slowly. But once I finished the first one, I had to do it 11 more times, because each book has 2 end papers. So much fun! since I have a bit more time to fill before, the outro segment, and I don't have much more to say on this segment, I did want to mention that the official cat introduction video, the long-awaited video, will be uploaded on September 5th, the day before his half birthday, where he will officially turn 2.5. On September 6th, I will have officially had him for 6 months. So stay tuned for that video. It'll be more of a vlog style, hence why it's being uploaded on a Friday. I also want to say that this was a huge project to both complete and film and edit. It was very long, and I didn't even record most of it because a lot of it was the same for each book. I don't even know how many hours I spent on this. I think I completed it, if I remember correctly, I completed it over 3 days or so. But it was a lot. Speaking of not recording all of it, in the next part you may see me only do the process for like books 1 and 2, and then you'll see like a different process for books 5 and 6, and that's just because like I do one part on camera and then one part I just do it on my own. It's a little all over the place. I'll try to make it cohesive. But I really hope you enjoyed this video so far, and I hope you'll turn back in for the rest of the content following this project. By the way, did you see Friday's reel? I may have provided a bit of a sneaky peek in that video, but you have to promise to come back for the rest of the process. Just because you saw a sneak peek doesn't mean you saw everything. Anyway, here's some lo-fi. As I mentioned, my phone ran out of storage, so I couldn't show the process of the last book, but worry not. It is exactly the same as the rest of the books that came before it. Then I also wanted to share a bit about the upload schedule for this project, since I do have quite a bit of content to showcase. So this video is going up on July 21st at my usual time. Then I will have a video coming out on Friday the 25th. showcasing that 20-minute segment that it took me to pick paper. And I'm not going to make you guys wait 2 weeks for part 2. So part 2 will be uploaded next Monday on July 28th. And then I don't think I'll have any more funny footage to post on as a bonus video, since the rest of the footage will be a voiceover. But I think I will film a short showcase for all of the books together, since I don't know how well I did that for the last segment, outro, part 2 thing. So that will be out on August 1st, which is a Friday, since it'll be a bonus video. And the last video is an intro to bookbinding video, where I basically break down all the costs that I incurred while making this project. Thank you so much for your support. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and liking this video. And I will see you all next Friday, or this Friday. Bye!